in the gun rights battle with David Burnett from Students for Concealed Carry and Brian Patrick, who you met yesterday if you hadn't met him at an earlier conference. But if you get a chance, ask him to show you his goat pictures. I'm going to, unless there's objection, gentlemen, we'll go student teacher.
Morning. Great Sunday. Great to see you guys here. Thanks for coming out. Thanks to Alan for putting this on. This is one of the best weekends that I have every year. I don't know about you. So let me start with a question. Who here likes to win? Don't you like to win? Doesn't it feel good to win? Isn't that why we're here? Because we're winning? Because we want to learn how better to win? Let me tell you about an organization that has won every single battle, almost, that we have come up against in the last 5 years that we've existed. In 2007, one campus, one state allowed concealed carry on campus, Utah. Today, thanks to the efforts of Students for Concealed Carry, we have added Oregon, Mississippi, Wisconsin, Virginia, and Colorado to that list. Folks, today, over 200 campuses in 6 states allow concealed carry on campus. That is a huge victory. Students for Concealed Carry is winning. In Oregon, there was a Marine who was carrying a small Derringer in his pocket, and he was arrested for that act. Students for Concealed Carry got involved, and thanks to that and the efforts of the Oregon Firearms Federation, we took it to the Court of Appeals, and we won. Now we have concealed carry in Oregon. In Mississippi, a law was passed requiring additional training. If you go through an NRA certified course, you get a little extra endorsement on your permit, and that means that you can carry a concealed firearm in zones that are otherwise prohibited, including college campuses. Winning. In Virginia, the Attorney General, Ken Cuccinelli, reviewed the law and came back and said that blanket gun bans on college campuses in the state were not constitutional, and the colleges, including Virginia Tech, had to start allowing concealed carry on campus until they revised their policies. That is winning. In Wisconsin, many of you followed that battle. I'm sure many of you took part in it. They became the 49th state to allow concealed carry. Finally. And in part to the efforts of Students for Concealed Carry to make sure that the discussion for self-defense on college campuses was a reality, we have concealed carry outside of buildings on college campuses in Wisconsin. Winning. And Colorado. One of our best victories yet. It took 2.5 years of legal wrangling. We took it all the way to the state Supreme Court. And finally, after 2.5 years of battle at the legal level, the state Supreme Court came back and overruled campus gun bans statewide. That is winning. Now, personally, I'm amazed that there's a lot of people that still oppose this idea. There's a lot of people that believe that disarming victims somehow makes them safer on a college campus. And a lot of times my temptation is to try and argue with you for why that's actually the case. But we're not here because we disagree on gun rights. You already believe in this. So, if you agree, what can you do? I don't look around the room and I don't see a whole lot of college students here right now. So, what is it that you can do? Why should you even care? Let me give you 3 reasons. Number 1, the obvious one, self-defense. Personally, I am sick and tired of students who are dying on college campuses because they cannot protect themselves. I have had friends impacted by sexual violence who had concealed carry permits but could not defend themselves. I'm tired of that. I am tired of being deprived of my ability to protect myself on a college campus. If I have a permit that was issued by the state legislature and approved by the governor, signed off by background checks by the FBI and the state police, that should be good enough for the college campus. I shouldn't have to go through anything different. I shouldn't be different to the college because I want to protect myself. That's reason number 1, self-defense. Number 2, we have got to recruit the youth. I look around this room and I see a lot of gray hairs of wisdom, and you guys have earned those honestly. I haven't earned mine yet. A lot of us students haven't. We need your help. We need your guidance. A lot of these kids right now, they are being brainwashed into believing that they are safer when disarmed. They believe that if you hang a sticker on the door, that somehow paper and ink will magically ward off a psychopathic killer bent on murder. That doesn't fly. So that's the second reason, recruiting the youth. Third reason, media exposure. Did anybody pick up USA Today this weekend, or the Wall Street Journal within the past week, or the New York Times? Because these are huge media outlets. And I know that a lot of times gun rights has an antagonistic relationship with these entities, and yet somehow concealed carry on campus is unique enough in the gun rights industry that they will come to us and they will cover that. USA Today, just this past week, for the second time came to me and asked me to write an editorial, which you can pick up in today's edition of USA Today, asked me to write an editorial in favor of gun rights. Now, I'm not going to say that that's due to any quality that I possess that you don't, but I am saying that for some reason concealed carry on campus is somehow considered extreme enough. It's unique and peculiar enough that these agencies, these media outlets, want to come and talk about it. We've also had exposure from very unique outlets. I had the opportunity to speak with Glamour magazine earlier this year, and they interviewed a friend of mine who was impacted by sexual violence, even though she had a permit. Jay Leno, Conan, these people have talked about our victories to allow guns in the classroom. I know Conan, he reviewed one of our decisions in Texas and said, every student's getting an A this semester. Personally, I found that funny, even though that's kind of antagonistic to what we try to do, but I had to laugh at that. I've received inquiries from agencies in Switzerland, Germany, France, Japan, Netherlands, and Canada in the last 10 days wanting to talk about our Colorado decision. Somehow this is a unique enough topic that the media comes flocking to us. And when we get media, gun rights gets media. When we win, you win. Every victory that we have makes it harder for the bad guys. Every victory is a stepping stone to the next victory. So, how can you help? Money. We need money. We are all students. We're all volunteers. We're all in debt up to our eyeballs as we try to pursue jobs or pursue higher education in this current economy. I'm currently going back to school for my second degree because my first degree in my law scholarship didn't quite pan out. We need your support. We need you to write letters to your editor. We need you to write letters to your representatives. We need stuff. If you don't have a lot of money, but you have a stack of paper around the house, donate that to the students. We need that to help print out our literature, which we then post on the campuses and recruit students that way. If you have t-shirts or stickers, if you have some access to some sort of resources that would help a student promote the cause on campus, that would be fantastic. You can go to our website, and we need you to light up our website. A lot of you have the power of the press now. That is changing to where if you're on Facebook, you don't need the pin of USA Today anymore to make that difference. So if you've got a pen, if you've got a paper, write those two websites down. Facebook.com/concealedcampus. Come and like us there. You get news postings every day as well as really cool graphics to support the gun rights movement. And then our website is concealedcampus.org. Again, Facebook.com/concealedcampus. Go like and then share us there. And then our website is concealedcampus.org. Every little bit helps. We need you to light this up. Light up the internet. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Recruit a college student that you know. Talk to professors that you may know. So in closing, the point that I want to impress on you is that victory is shared. If we win, you win, and we build off of each other. We have that synergy of victory that allows us to keep moving forward. A win in Utah can bring about a win in Wisconsin and Mississippi, and then in Colorado. And just yesterday, I was talking with Alan and some other people about helping build off of those victories for future victories. And I'm excited about an opportunity that we're going to have coming up, which hopefully you'll hear about. But we need your money. We need your time. Most of all, we need your passion. We need your enthusiasm. No, we just need your money. We do. But listen, we are not going to quit, okay? We have been winning. We're going to keep winning. We're not going to stop until we're done. We're going to run over these ridiculous, discriminatory gun bans like a train, and we're going to change the laws to favor gun owners, not victims. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And now that we've heard from the student, we'll hear from the teacher. Brian Patrick is Associate Professor of Communications at the University of Toledo, an author, and has been with us before. So Here you go.
Thank you, Peggy. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Mr. Tartar, for inviting me as well, wherever you are, somewhere in here. Thank you to Second Amendment staff people who I just shook them down for a whole bunch of bumper stickers. Gave me a big pile. And I can guarantee you that with some help of some students for concealed carry, those will wind up on faculty cars. All right. I need to do a slight correction to the agenda and an amendment, if you're willing. First of all, following up the popular culture conversation earlier, I'd like to have my address called On the Academic Front and Zombies Too, because I'm going to bring them into this. Secondly, I am no longer an associate professor. Now I'm a full professor. Thank you. And there are very few professors of any sort, assistant, associate, or full in the country that are pro-gun. There are a few, and I've met some of them here. And what I'm going to try to talk about is this academic front thing. I'm going to talk about some of my adventures and misadventures of trying to be a pro-gun professor in academia. And I'm going to talk about some current trends and events, including Students for Concealed Carry a little bit. I'm going to talk about what possibly we can do in the way of future actions and activities to extend gun rights in campuses and so on. Because campuses are not a place we can afford to abandon. I mean, these are the places where knowledge is manufactured. And believe me, knowledge is manufactured, just like cars and other apparatus. So it's a process that needs to be paid some attention to. And if it's not, the people who wind up manufacturing are, let's put it this way, they're not good workmen. All right, adventures and misadventures. When I went into academia, I had this naive belief that it was going to be a place where you could have untrammeled discussions. You could actually talk about ideas. You could bring up things in an open forum and so on. And this was not the case. As I found it, graduate school was essentially an exercise in conformity. You will do, as I do, the senior gray-haired mentor. And if I studied the hairs on the right side of the gnat's, I think we'll have to call it a butt, you'll study the hairs on the left side. I mean, that is advances in some of these quantitative programs. I mean, it's a mentorship, kind of a worship program and so on, and it's a replication of existing patterns and so on. I was a little older, and I noticed there's a reason why they like graduate students young and dumb, because they're more impressionable, at least they're not as forward. And I actually talk, and I was resented for it very much. When they found out I was pro-gun, they kind of knew. They thought I was too working class. I was told by a person on the admissions committee who talked to me later, but they decided to let me in anyways. And when they found out I was pro-gun, problems started to happen very soon. I would go to these seminars and discuss my research, and those of you familiar with my books and so on know my first book concerns NRA and the media. My major finding is I documented negative bias of NRA compared to analogous groups, but nevertheless, NRA benefits by bad coverage. The more bad coverage, the more membership over a 10-year period. I've proved this. They do not like this kind of talk. The fact that there's an antithetical, successful gun rights movement in this country is not something that enters into their thinking. It's not something they like to entertain. And I would start getting these reactions in research seminars from senior professors and whatnot, where when I would talk about my research, they would start making these curdled milk expressions, like kind of like, and they would say things. I remember this one fellow, a very senior professor, said, "I don't even let my children play with toy guns." That was it. He had no other comments on 2 years of research I had done. I mean, that was the comment. And of course, this is complete non sequitur, but nevertheless, this is the kind of world they live in. And a lot of academics have suffered from and they're insular and so on. Anybody know who Whittaker Chambers was? You guys know him. Okay, he was the guy who testified against Alger Hiss, and he documented Communist Party activity, all these this international world progressive movement, which are very much like the liberals of today and so on, and the Obama administration and his friends, and very much like a lot of academics. Not all academics. There are fair-minded academics. He said this. He was talking of communists that he had known, but it applies to academics too. Like most people who have substituted the habit of delusion for reality, they become hysterical whenever the root of their delusion was touched, and reacted with a violence that completely belied the openness of mind which they prescribed for others. I mean, this guy wrote the theme unifying most of my experiences in academia. Okay, I kind of kept beneath the radar as much as I could before I was tenured. When you go to associate professor, that's when you're tenured. And full professor is cool. I am among the gray hairs now. I mean, the old goats and so on, and I can have a lot of committee power and so on now. But for the first 5 years, some of my colleagues said, "Wow, you really fooled everybody," because a lot of my books and stuff came out later, and I deliberately kind of kept a low profile in these meetings. But then after that, I became more active in community service and university service, and people started finding out who I was and what I stood for. What particularly bothered many of them was I proposed, they were accepted, and I ran 3 honors seminars called American Gun Policy, in which I pursued all aspects of gun policy, invited speakers, pro and con. Students loved them. Became the most popular honors class in the campus. When registration opened up at 9 o'clock in the morning, my class would be full by 9:15. And this did not please some. Believe me, this did not please. So how do they try to get back at you? And they do try to snipe at you. They try to destroy you. They want to kill you. And I'm speaking professionally. No one ever actually tried to strangle me yet. But I tell you, one of the deans, I used to go to meetings, and she was very ancient. And she would kind of nod off, and she would look up, and she would focus on me, and she would say, "You." What does that mean? Anyways, I kid you not. So in grad school already, there was an attempt to cut my throat, academically speaking, by cutting off my funding. I got up to the last year, and I'm working on this dissertation on NRA in the media, which was totally verboten, taboo research. And plus I'm getting people from NPR calling me on the telephone and stuff, which irritated them even more. The senior professor, Professor Curdled Milk, I told you about, he tried to mess with a fellowship that was due to me, a dissertation writing fellowship. And this was how our program worked. If you got up to this point where you were writing, you got the fellowship, it was your turn, and it allowed you to finish. It gave you that last 6 months or a year of support where you could finish your dissertation, you could pay your registration fees, they'd cover, et cetera. You get a stipend. After the fellowship had been advertised and put out according to how the publicized and so on, according to the format, he tried to change. I was the only applicant, because this is how our program worked. There were only 8 people on the program. And it was my turn. So after I applied for it, he sent out a little email to the department saying, "Well, it was a non-competitive process, and I think we need to open this up and get more applicants." And really what he wanted to do was he had a pet that he wanted to bring in this thing. And I called him on it. I said, "I really think that the main requirement of getting this dissertation writing fellowship is that your name is not Brian Patrick." And I heard nothing for 2 weeks. Then they announced I had the fellowship. But this was an attempt to stop me. I mean, literally, how do you finish a dissertation when you, first of all, have to go get a job? And this would have held me up for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, or maybe completely. That was the idea. Destruction. In my promotion, my most recent promotion, the dean, not the same dean, but a dean from Women and Gender Studies, which is an interesting place to work, who didn't like comments I had made, like, she took objection to this. She said that I had said something like, I don't understand why, if you want to take back the night, I think a concealed carry permit is a lot better way of doing it than a candlelight vigil on the library steps. Yeah. Yeah. And I think this seemed obvious enough for me, but apparently the dean took objection to this and apparently everything else I had done since I was conceived. And she wrote an 11-page diatribe, which I have here, explaining why I just should not be promoted to full professor. My teaching was inadequate. My service, community service and university service was non-existent. And my scholarship, I even had questionable people on there publishing my books. Like I had a book contract with Alan Gottlieb. She even made fun. How can you attack Alan Gottlieb? But this shows you the imbalance here. The malice in this document, it's self-evident. You read this thing and you say, what is going on here? What did I do to offend this person? Well, I thought in ways that were not approved. And I also touched on that root of self-delusion, that hysteria, and came up with that. They have a worldview. I don't agree with it. The dean, for example, how convoluted this document is in its thinking. You present a big dossier when you go up for promotions. There's all these committees involved. It's a very complicated process. And my dossier contained perhaps 400 or 500 separate evaluations from various students in classes I had taught. And a lot of times the students will answer a question with the word yes. Is the professor knowledgeable? Yes. I mean, they can write things. They might not. They might. Is the professor, does he respect students? Stuff like this. So I had hundreds of yes answers, hundreds and hundreds of yes answers and some elaborations. And the dean said, pretty much quote unquote, it's very difficult to interpret the meaning of the word yes. So you have this phenomenon of this dean who can't interpret the meaning of the word yes when it applies to me. And of course, I'm not one to go quietly into the darkness. I mean, if anybody ever murders me, they're going to get a fight out of it. I mean, I'll tell you that. And I'll win. I like winning too. So anyways, I responded with a 14-page diatribe of my own explaining that, I have to add one more point. People who were promoted at the same time I was, one of them had a book of poems published with about 40 poems in it in this like strange vanity press somewhere. I have like books published by academic publishers, a couple of major academic publishers. I have books that are published on a label I've started my own, which really bothered them. They can't stand that I have a publishing label now called Goat Power Publishing. I mean, this bothers them. And the fact that I would consort with the likes of Alan Gottlieb to publish a book, oh my God! And these are people who don't publish at all, or very, very little. But they were. It was so inconsistent. It was astonishing. I responded with a 14-page diatribe of my own, but very legalistically structured in the sense I'm not going to let these points stand stand by default, and I'm going to refute them systematically. And it went on. And this is an unheralded thing, an unprecedented thing in the university, where it went up to the next committee, beyond the dean. It had already been through 3 or 4. I'd gotten outside reviewers and so on. By the way, Gary Mauser, thanks. I wish he was here to thank, but he was one of my outside reviewers for my quality of my work, and he reviewed me very favorably. Plus, I got other favorable reviews. So it goes up to the University Academic Personnel Committee, which is made up of representatives from all the different colleges, business, medicine, engineering, you name it. There's 8 people on this committee. They read my stuff. They read the dean's stuff, her comments, and what do you think they voted? They voted 8-0 in my behalf. So that's their way of giving a very clear message to the dean. And some of these people didn't even like me. I mean, I know them. I mean, you know, I'm irritating. I really am. But nevertheless, they were fair. So there are such things as fair academics. It can be done, but I tell you, it's a difficult system, and it's fraught with this kind of hereditary degeneration that I think comes about due to hiring practices. You know, you guys have worked in the real world, and you know that a lot of people won't hire somebody they're afraid of. They hire people that are kind of mediocre, so they won't show them up. And academics are like this, and when you start out with mediocrity, and then you hire down, I mean, over a few generations, look at these people. I tell you, I would fire half the people at my university. And, you know, I mean, I would do this simply because they don't produce. Okay. Am I running? Are you telling me to do something? You're out of time. I'm out of time. Okay. Can I have a minute? Mm-hmm. Thank you. Transit events. It took a while. I'm a certified NRA pistol instructor. One of the things I've been doing for community service is to teach CPL classes to members of the university community. I've taught about 150 people, a lot of women, a lot of young men, some professors. How's that for deviationism? Yeah, it works out, and I've been getting university administrators. We've also been doing things like you can work. There's ways to work in these universities, as you well know. The students are the energy, but the problem with students is they come and go. So there needs to be somebody around. You need to set up some sort of semi-permanent nucleus that lasts. And I think what we need to do is think seriously as a gun culture is setting up some endowments an endowed professor or two somewhere across the country, any university, wherever you can do this, comes in at a great position of strength because universities like money and they like the prestige of having endowed professors. And it doesn't cost all that much to endow a professor. Or a research center. Doesn't cost all that much. Remember Saul Cornell's wacky Second Amendment Research Center at Ohio State University? It started with Joyce Foundation money. It was really a center about why the Second Amendment didn't mean what the Second Amendment said. I mean, that's what the purpose of it was. But we can do things like this and work on. Okay, last comment on zombies. See, you're being very patient. Thank you. I can feel you there, though. I really can. I can feel the emanations. The zombie thing. I've been writing a book on zombies, and the thesis is that the zombie phenomenon represents a disturbance in the Western collective unconscious. Us academics talk this way. In the Western collective unconscious concerning the decline of Western civilization. In the book is a chapter on zombies and guns. And I noticed the zombies have been bringing in new people. It, first of all, provides a politically correct target. Why in the hell not shoot a zombie? I mean, there's no compelling reason. But people like this. People play zombie versus humans games on my campuses that go on for a week at a time, the students. And this is a way in. I think this popular culture thing is a great way to bring in students. But I think we need to think long term a little bit about academia, again, with centers, with maybe a couple select endowed chairs across the country makes a huge difference. And you start manufacturing academic research, knowledge that supports our movement. And our movement is successful. It's successful. This is the most successful social movement I know of in 50 years. I mean, this is all my lifetime. This is the best one, and it's a good one. And we manufacture our own meaning. We've taken over that process. We need to do it in academia. Thank you. And thank you for being patient.